Yo, welcome everybody to the Writer's Block. This is our second weekly update. If you are new to the channel, I would highly encourage you to subscribe and become a part of our little community here of writers. You are a returning person, a returning subscriber to the channel. I would highly also encourage you to like the video as well as post a comment down below in the comment section and update me on your current writing progress and any goals that you have for the upcoming week. And so just to kind of go over my writing progress over the past week, so I have it written down here. And so during the past week, so this was from last Friday to this Thursday, I wrote for just under 3 hours. That equated to about 30 minutes a day. And then in total, I wrote 2,773 words. The fewest amount of words that I wrote in one of my sessions was 387 words, and the largest amount of words that I kind of completed in a writing session was 787. Also not included in those kind of numbers was actually my first day of editing. So essentially what happened was, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but essentially what happened was when I was, writing one day, I kind of got really engrossed or kind of, invested in the story, and the next day wanted to come back and actually edit up the writing that I had done the previous day, and I got a little bit carried away and essentially just wasted my whole writing time editing what I previously wrote. However, I will say that I think that was overall a positive experience, and that I know that editing is a very important aspect of the writing process, and I do think that my editing to the writing went a long way in terms of improving the quality, tightening it up, and just overall making it a better scene, and kind of conveyed the message that I was trying to portray a little bit better. And so just going to kind of go with that this week. We'll see if there are any days next week or in the future where we have full editing days. But yeah, so in terms of my goals for the week, so last Friday, I kind of talked about how basically I started the channel, and I was just kind of starting a new habit, right? I'm somebody who is trying to pick up the habit of writing fiction. Specifically, I'm really interested in writing fantasy, sci-fi, thriller, and that's something that's pretty new to me. And so being somebody who was trying to just kind of create this habit out of nothing, my primary goal for the week was simply to remain consistent. And so based on my writing progress for the week, I would say that I did meet that goal, in that I wrote every day since the previous weekly update, with the exception of Sunday. I kind of took that day off just because, I think it is important to, have that time away just to kind of refresh yourself, so that you don't get burnt out, right? This is something that I'm hoping that I'm able to sustain in the long term. And so, just setting the goal of having 30-minute writing sessions, which in the moment does feel very short, and a lot of times, I kind of find myself at the end of the 30 minutes wanting to do a little bit more. However, I have been pretty good about actually just cutting myself off, which I think does go a long way just in terms of, ensuring that I'm showing up the next day and I'm still excited and refreshed and ready to kind of write about, whatever the prompt is for that day. In terms of what went well, which is kind of the second, kind of segment or topic of this video, I would say overall, one thing that I thought that went well was I think I'm getting better. Right, so I'm incredibly new to this. This is my second week ever, and so even though I'm getting better, right, this is all relative. I'm certainly not quote unquote good, but one thing I did notice was that I think I was being a little more concise in my writing. I was being a little bit more picky in terms of my word choice, like a little bit more deliberate, and kind of, conveying my message more effectively in my stories. The other thing too is I did use ChatGPT this week to give me a few prompts, and I found that to be pretty helpful. Again, like I talked about last week, for really just kind of sitting down saying, give me a prompt, and then just immediately going. And I find that to be really helpful in that it takes away the excuses, or the excuse of, I don't know what to write. And instead, it just gives you kind of a scene to write, and you just kind of go from there. So those are some things that I thought were pretty that went well this week. The other thing that I'll also mention here is that a few days I actually just kind of created stories or scenes off the top of my head, and I took them a little bit further than I did the previous week when I was coming up with things on the fly. And so I think I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with, especially with these sessions where I'm not really planning, I'm not outlining. I feel a lot more comfortable just kind of seeing where the story goes, and being okay with the being okay with, at the end of the writing session, if it's not a complete story or not a complete scene, if there's some technical things or the plot is a little bit kind of wonky. And so I think just kind of that tolerance to being, or that the kind of just being okay with not having all the answers and not having everything be perfect in this kind of story that I'm creating on the fly, really taking that pressure off, is another thing that I think went well this week. And so moving on to things that did not go so well. So overall, I'll kind of preface this by saying that overall, I think things are going pretty well, because again, right, my main goal right now is just to be consistent and to have fun with it. And I am doing both of those things. That being said, if I had to kind of be nitpicky and identify some things that maybe weren't going so well, two things related to the writing. So first and foremost, I've noticed that I have like this weird existential fear around writing female characters. I have no idea why. I just, for some reason, am struggling to even kind of take the jump and put my, put kind of try on that perspective, essentially. So put my feet in their shoes, right? So to this point, right, 2 weeks of writing, I have never written a female character in any of my stories, which is something that I do want to improve upon, which you will see in my goals here in a second. The other aspect that I noticed that was kind of like a little scary for me, or at least when I was writing, I kind of felt a little bit like a fish out of water, was writing dialogue. And so dialogue is something, in terms of, or based on my understanding of kind of fiction writing, dialogue is something that's incredibly important, and that it oftentimes gives our characters a voice, right? And through dialogue, we can, really make our characters stand out. And so, I know that I should not be dodging this. However, I did kind of find myself being a little reluctant to, have two characters converse with one another. In part because I don't know like how to structure it, right? Like kind of this, I don't want it to be like this mechanical back and forth. This person says something, this person says something, so on and so forth, and it read as like a little bit mechanical. So that's one thing that I noticed that I was struggling with, and I think towards the end of the week I got a little bit better at this. And in fact, during my own reading, so as a part of my writing journey, I'm attempting to read a little bit more fantasy, and I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to how authors kind of do dialogue, right? Because there's different ways to do it, and so. I've been paying attention to that, and I'm hoping to kind of practice those skills in the upcoming weeks. The only other thing that I would mention for potentially for things that are not going as well, is just that I haven't really been sticking to a writing schedule. So right now, I'm kind of in a flux with respect to like work. So I work in an academic setting, and so with it being December, students are going home. Everything kind of tends to slow down, and I'm actually going to be kind of transitioning into a little break period, right? Because the university is going to be closed for the next 2 weeks, and so having things be a little bit more slow paced, it's really afforded me the opportunity to just write whenever I feel like it, and so I haven't really been, pressuring myself to explicitly note a writing time where every day at 3 p.m. today I'm going to, write for 30 minutes. And instead, I just kind of wake up, go to work, and, if I feel like writing in the morning, I do it then. If I want to do it in the afternoon, I do it then. Because I am going into break for the next 2 weeks, this is something that's not immediately pressing in terms of something that I think I need to address right now. In an attempt to like reach my shorter as well as long-term goals. However, it will be something that I think about very deliberately as we kind of head in to the new year. I want to kind of really pick a time going into the new year, whether that's before work, so waking up early to getting in my writing session, or maybe even doing it after work, just so that I can kind of set that and then really stick to it and kind of hold myself accountable. Just because I know, right, this part of the year is a little bit slow, and then coming out into the new year, everything's going to be incredibly fast paced. And so I think just setting that schedule is something that I'm really looking forward to, and I think it'll be something that I continue to think about for the next couple of weeks. In terms of my goals going forward for the next week. So depending on when you're watching this, for me, this is heading into Christmas week. So Christmas is next, I believe, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. And so, of course, I'm going to be traveling, going to be out of my normal schedule. And so similar to last week, my only goal, actually I have 3 goals, I guess, but 2 simply. The primary goal is going to be to just remain consistent. So if I can write for 4 days between now and next time I record a weekly update, I'm going to view that as a success, right? When life gets crazy, when the holidays kind of take over things and you have to spend time with family and all that kind of stuff, which is very, very important. I think that consistency, right, is going to be something that is just going to really go a long way. And so my goal again this week is to get in 4 writing sessions of 30 minutes for the next week. For those writing sections in particular, I'm going to be paying attention to writing female characters as well as writing a little bit of dialogue. This is something that, as I say right now, is a little scary, and I know as I kind of sit down for those writing sessions, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I have no idea, but I'm just going to embrace the hurt and just kind of go for it. Just because I know if you just avoid it, right, you're never actually going to get better at it, and so I'm just going to accept that next week writing sessions are going to be difficult, but in the long run will be for the better. The last kind of thing that I do want to mention is that in terms of a goal for next week, I want to also come out with another weekly update. So I have been consistent with coming out with weekly updates, and so I want to also record a weekly update for next week so that I can keep everybody in the loop and keep growing the channel. And I want to have a thumbnail, right, a customized thumbnail for that video. And so be on the lookout for that. And so that is all that I have for y'all here today. If you are here again, please like and subscribe. Also, drop down in the comments what your writing goals are for the week, any challenges you're having, any wins from the previous week. I would love to hear from you. And also, as always, down in the description below, I will have links to my writing progress, which essentially, if you click on it, it will take you to a Google Doc so that you can see every single writing session that I have kind of completed as a part of this channel, and you can kind of just follow along and see where I'm at with things. So awesome. I appreciate you all, and happy writing.